Welcome to Second Sunrise Stories. Relax and enjoy our captivating tales. If you love what you hear, please like, comment, and subscribe to help us bring you more incredible stories. In my previous life, my adopted daughter Sophia Chen personally signed the consent form to discontinue treatment after I had a car accident. When I passed away, she leaned close to my ear and said, "I hate you. You made me lose my birth parents' love for 25 years. After that, she took all my assets to support her birth parents. She even bought a house and car for her biological brother. When I was reborn, it was exactly the day her birth parents came looking for her. This time, facing my adopted daughter's tears, I just smiled gently. All right then, go ahead and accept your birth parents. I was reborn. In my previous life, my adopted daughter Sophia personally signed the papers to discontinue treatment after I was in a traffic accident. After I passed away, she leaned close to my ear and said, "Emma Richardson, do you know? I tampered with your car, which caused the accident." She practically gritted her teeth. "I hate you. Because of you, I lost 25 years of love that I should have received from my birth parents. I think I didn't die from the accident, but from being angered to death by her. How wonderful, I helped raise someone else's unwanted child for 25 years, only to raise an enemy." Her actions were swift and decisive. Cremation on the same day, ashes in an urn on the same day. Then she took my assets to support her birth parents. Who would have thought heaven has eyes? When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to 7 years ago, exactly the day Sophia's birth parents came to our door. When they arrived, Sophia had just finished her college entrance exams and was at home. Her birth mother, Linda Chen, grabbed her hand with tears streaming down her face. "My daughter, I finally found you." Her birth father, Robert Chen, stood beside them echoing, "My daughter, I finally get to meet you." The two of them performed a grand drama, crying together. Sophia was confused by their tears, just like in my previous life. She looked at me with a bewildered expression and asked, "What's going on?" Actually, she didn't need to ask. Just one glance at Linda was enough to understand. Sophia and Linda looked exactly alike, no DNA test needed to confirm they were blood relatives. "Sure enough," Linda said, "we'll look exactly alike, you are my daughter." If the neighbor hadn't told me a few days ago that she saw a girl on the street who looked just like me, I still wouldn't have found you. She continued crying while telling a story full of holes. "When you were 2 months old, I took you to the market. I had to use the restroom, so I left you outside for just a moment. When I came back, you were gone." Robert added, "We've been searching for you for 18 years, thinking about you every moment." Sophia looked at me and asked, "Mom, is what they're saying true?" I said nothing. In my previous life, I had directly driven Linda and Robert away. After they left, knowing that paper can't wrap fire, I told Sophia that she wasn't my biological daughter. I thought that at only 18 years old, young and inexperienced, she wouldn't understand how treacherous people could be. I even analyzed it for her. "You were abandoned at my doorstep in the dead of winter. If they truly loved you, how could they bear to abandon you? Think about it, if I hadn't been home that day, or if I hadn't taken you in, could you have survived being so small? Moreover, when I found you, I spent money, effort, and time searching for your birth parents, but no one came to claim you. I thought I was protecting her innocence, but she taught me a lesson about society instead. No amount of analysis could overcome the deep pull of blood ties and her birth parents' sweet words. Back then, she firmly said she wouldn't acknowledge Linda and Robert. She even comforted me very maturely, "Mom, don't worry. I only have you as my mother in this life." But once in college, she secretly acknowledged Linda and Robert. After graduation, she even tricked me out of money to give to them, because they told her that all their savings had been spent searching for her. When I accidentally discovered her transfer history and the messages between her and her birth parents, I scolded her for not thinking clearly. "They didn't raise you, yet they want you to help raise your brother. Their intentions are so obvious, and you still don't understand." She blamed me instead. She said I was being nosy, angrily saying they were her birth parents who had searched for her for so many years. It was so difficult to find her, how could she not acknowledge them? What would outsiders think of me? Unfilial, ungrateful, heartless. I don't want people pointing fingers at me. I'm already grown up. Can't you stop trying to control everything like before? In the end, she even struck at my wound. "No wonder your ex-husband didn't want you and divorced you. You're too controlling." I was so angry I almost had a heart attack. She ignored me, slammed the door and left. Of course, I should mention that the reason for my divorce wasn't Sophia's fault. My ex-husband and I divorced simply because I couldn't have children. There's always been a saying in Yun City that if a couple has been married for a long time without children, they can adopt a child. If the child has fate with them, they'll soon have their own biological child. This was why we decided to adopt Sophia. But after 4 years of raising her, I still didn't get pregnant. My ex-husband's family placed great importance on continuing the family line. The whole family was worried. My ex-mother-in-law forced us to divorce so he could remarry. My ex-husband was an obedient son who decided to divorce me. But when we adopted Sophia, his whole family had agreed to the decision. When we divorced, Sophia became my sole responsibility. My ex-husband only said one sentence: "She's not my biological child anyway." During the divorce, he firmly refused custody of Sophia, saying that if she was assigned to him, he would send her to an orphanage. After the divorce, he never visited Sophia, let alone provided child support. Even my own mother and brother didn't accept that I kept a non-biological child after divorce. They showed their dissatisfaction and didn't want to accept Sophia. My mother said bluntly, "Even biological children might not take care of you when you're old, let alone someone else's child. What if she learns the truth later and wants to find her birth parents? No matter how much you give, it'll all be for nothing." My brother didn't speak as directly as my mother, but his meaning was similar. He said, "Sister, if you keep this child, it'll be hard for you to remarry when you meet someone you like." At that time, I didn't listen to my mother and brother. I thought that since I had decided to adopt Sophia, I had to be responsible to the end. Moreover, I was deeply hurt by my ex-husband's family and had no intention of remarrying. So over the years I've been working while raising Sophia alone. Fortunately, I work freelance, which made it convenient to take care of her. When I was too busy or had to travel for work, even though my brother didn't like Sophia, he would reluctantly help take care of her for a few days for my sake. Now, watching Linda and Robert come to claim their daughter, I thought they must have thoroughly investigated my family situation when they left Sophia at my door. Over the years, they must have been secretly monitoring our family situation. Otherwise, how could they feel safe leaving Sophia at my door? And how could they find us precisely after I divorced and moved? I pondered for a moment and quickly decided to return Sophia to them. I nodded and told Sophia, "You really aren't my biological daughter. Someone left you at my door years ago. Seeing you crying so pitifully and not knowing who had left you, I adopted you." I thought for a bit and continued, "But to avoid any mistakes, you should do a DNA test with them." Linda, seeing I didn't object, immediately agreed. Yes, we can do a DNA test." The next day Sophia went for a DNA test with Linda and Robert. On the third day her classmate invited her to go shopping. I also had errands to run. During lunch I accidentally encountered her and her friend at a nearby table. The DNA results weren't back yet, but Sophia excitedly told her friend, "You won't believe it. I'm adopted. My birth parents came looking for me the day before yesterday. My birth mother even gave me 1,000 yuan, saying that as long as I acknowledge them, they'll give me monthly living expenses when I go to college." Her friend exclaimed, "Oh my God, such a good thing exists." After being amazed she asked, "So will you acknowledge them?" Sophia looked worried. My adoptive mother probably won't agree. Otherwise, why would she ask for a DNA test when I look exactly like my birth mother? Oh my, just 1,000 yuan turned mom into adoptive mother. All these years, the money I spent on her was countless autumn leaves. How laughable. But I told myself, forget it, don't say much. The DNA test was just a precaution in case she later denied the blood relationship and blamed me. Just as this thought flashed through my mind, Sophia's friend asked again, "So what are you going to do?" Sophia thought for a moment, as if she had made up her mind, and said, "Whatever. If the DNA test shows they're my birth parents and my adoptive mother doesn't agree, I'll secretly acknowledge them. 2 monthly allowances would be great." I laughed. This was exactly the Sophia I knew. In my previous life she did the same thing. Soon, the DNA results came back. They were indeed her parents. Holding the results, Sophia asked me, "Mom, should I acknowledge them?" She said she was asking me, but her eyes clearly wanted to say, "I want to acknowledge them. So please don't make things difficult for me." Not just her eyes, since her birth parents appeared, Sophia never once considered my feelings or asked if I would be sad if she acknowledged them. It was as if she had been waiting for this day for a long time. So I quickly said, "They are your birth parents after all. Acknowledging them is the right thing to do." I even repeated the words she had said to me in my previous life. "Besides, they didn't intentionally abandon you back then. They searched for you for so many years. Don't break their hearts. Otherwise, what will people say about you? Unfilial, ungrateful, heartless. As a person, you shouldn't let others point fingers at you like that." Sophia was speechless. After all, she would eventually acknowledge Linda and Robert anyway. Why not let her do it now? This way I could save on her college tuition. Rather than give money to her, I'd rather save it for myself to travel. Perhaps because in this life I didn't stop Sophia from acknowledging her birth parents and even supported her. After the DNA test confirmed that Linda and Robert were her birth parents, she happily accepted this fact. Linda took this opportunity to propose holding a ceremony to formally acknowledge Sophia as their daughter. Sophia agreed. I heard the ceremony was very grand. Linda set up more than 10 tables, also celebrating Sophia getting into a second-tier university. After all, in their village, it was rare for a daughter to get into college. Before leaving, Sophia politely invited me to attend, but I refused. I took the opportunity to give her the admission notice, gently saying, "Since this is both a daughter, acknowledgement ceremony and a college celebration, take this with you. If anyone doubts you're their daughter, you'll have proof." Sophia took the documents without suspicion and without looking. Between the admission notice, I had tucked her household registration certificate. I smiled as I saw her off to the car, casually telling her to stay and play for a few days. You rarely get to see them. After she left, I immediately put up for sale all the assets I could sell, preparing to move elsewhere. Life is most important. From the first day of my rebirth, I had listed the house on various websites and with real estate agencies. Since it was in a key school district, I priced it low for a quick sale. When Sophia's DNA results with Linda were announced, someone had already made an offer on the house. The day I heard Sophia call me adoptive mother, I was still worried about the house documents. At that time, Sophia was immersed in the joy of reuniting with her birth parents and completely didn't notice. Plus, she had barely been home recently, either hanging out with friends or being called away by Linda and Robert. This made it convenient for me to move. While packing, I discovered a secret I never knew in my previous life. In Sophia's room, I found her diary. She had a habit of keeping a diary. Before, I always respected her privacy and almost never entered her room, let alone read her diary. But now, excuse me, everything in this house was bought by me. I have the right to handle it. In the diary, Sophia wrote that she had known for a long time that she wasn't my biological daughter. When she was young, whenever I sent her to my brother's house while I was on business trips, relatives in the countryside told her the truth. They even warned her that she was an abandoned child, and meeting me was her greatest fortune. Otherwise, she wouldn't have survived because in those years in rural areas, many families favored boys over girls, and abandoned baby girls weren't uncommon. They also analyzed why my ex-husband didn't want to raise her during the divorce. They told her she should be grateful and filial to me in the future. Although my relatives talked a bit too much, her reaction after learning the truth hurt me even more. She wrote in her diary, "Grateful. Grateful for what? Who knows if Emma couldn't have children, so she stole me from my birth parents. She deserved to be hated and abandoned by her ex-husband. Even about studying poorly, I had to take extra classes. She confiscated my iPad and phone to force me to work hard." In her diary, this was also seen as evidence that I didn't love her. She wrote, "Look at my friends, they get to travel or go abroad during holidays, while I'm forced to study miserably and do housework. I'm not even allowed to play games. Isn't it because I'm not her biological child that she doesn't love me? She only knows how to force me to do things I don't like all day long." The housework she did could be counted on one hand, just cleaning her own room, and occasionally helping sweep the house a little when I was busy with work. As for gaming, there was a period when she was addicted to games, playing until 3 or 4 a.m. every night, forcing me to confiscate her iPad and phone. She even fantasized in her diary that her birth parents were billionaires who would one day drive luxury cars with bodyguards to take her to live in high society. Honestly, Such fantasies were age-appropriate at the time, but I don't feel I did anything wrong in educating her. Since she could understand things, I discussed everything with her, treated her as an independent individual, and always respected her. I never used my position as a mother to oppress or morally bind her. Even during her rebellious teenage years, I didn't use economic cuts to handle it. Instead, I talked and communicated with her. So I can only say that genetic inheritance is really too powerful. She completely inherited her birth parents' selfishness, my caring, understanding, and strictness. As long as it made her unhappy, she ignored all the good I did for her and only focused on the bad to criticize me. After reading the diary, I sold it along with other junk to the waste collector. After cleaning up the house, I contacted the buyer to complete the transfer procedures. The procedures went smoothly. 3 days later, I pulled my luggage and left Yun City, moving to a small town I had always loved but couldn't go to before because I was busy with Sophia's education. I bought a house in that small town, planning to settle there long term. 7 days later, Sophia tried to contact me. She was about to start college and needed tuition and living expenses. But when she returned home, she discovered the house had changed owners. All her contact information with me had been deleted or blocked by me. With no other choice, she went to find a close friend of mine to ask where I was. Of course, it was useless to ask. I left without leaving a message for anyone and didn't reveal where I was going. My friend called me to ask what had happened. I briefly explained the situation and told my friend not to bother with her. Before I could finish speaking, I heard Sophia's angry voice from the other end. What is this supposed to mean? Very clever. My friend had the speaker on, but it didn't matter. I wanted to make things clear to Sophia anyway. I coldly replied, now that your birth parents have found you and you're an adult, I don't need to take care of everything for you like before. Let's go our separate ways. Sophia protested, you're the one who agreed to let me acknowledge my birth parents. I only acknowledged them because I listened to you. I sneered. The way you address me in your heart has already changed from mom to adoptive mother. You also said if I didn't agree, you would secretly acknowledge them, so could I have disagreed? Besides, since you went back to your birth parents, you haven't once asked about me. Now you remember me when you need money. Too late, go find your birth parents. I paused and added, also, you said you acknowledged your birth parents because you listened to me. Well, now I'm asking you not to look for me anymore. I hope you'll listen to this too. I hung up without waiting for Sophia's response. According to my friend, after I hung up, Sophia cursed very nastily. Her insults were all attacks on me. She even threatened at my friend's house. If Emma Richardson won't support me anymore, tell her not to expect me to take care of her when she's old. I was speechless. Talk about raising a snake in your sleeve. I really didn't dare hope she would take care of me when I'm old. I was only afraid she'd bring disaster upon me. Thinking this, I immediately sent messages to all my relatives and friends, clearly announcing that Sophia had found her birth parents and that she and I had severed our mother-daughter relationship. I told them not to lend her money, and if they did, I wouldn't pay it back. This message made my brother laugh mockingly. He called to tease me, sister, not listening to adults, now you're at a disadvantage, right? I replied irritably. Thanks for laughing at my pain. After hearing about the situation between Sophia and me, he sighed and said, come stay at my place for a while. I knew he was worried about me. After all, raising a child for 18 years and suddenly cutting ties wasn't easy. In my previous life, I indeed couldn't get over it. After discovering Sophia had tricked me out of money to support her birth parents and brother, I also thought about cutting ties with her. But then I softened, like a gambler who had lost everything but still hoped to salvage something, unwilling to accept that everything I had invested had become a joke, all because the sunk cost was too great. I had raised and loved her too much, only to receive betrayal in return. This made me unwilling to stop, even though I knew I should. In the end, I paid with my life for my stubbornness. In this life, I thought things through more clearly. Since I no longer had the burden of raising Sophia, I felt much more relaxed. Every day when I woke up, I didn't have to worry about tuition fees, extra class fees, living expenses, or saving for her future. Before, when buying anything, I had to consider carefully. I didn't even dare buy expensive cosmetics. Now I could freely buy what I liked within my financial means. The feeling was truly wonderful. So I declined my brother's invitation to stay at his house. He comforted me. Sister, don't be sad. That ungrateful girl will get her comeuppance someday. That's right. Without my financial support, would she even be able to attend college? Linda's family took her back clearly just to use her. Her brain wasn't smart enough to see through it. She was lured by her birth parents' small favors, thinking they were good people. I sat back to watch her joke unfold. Unexpectedly, Sophia's downfall came very quickly. Just 2 days later, my brother called, deliberately taking time to tell me about her laughable situation. She had come begging him about tuition, crying that her birth parents were too poor to afford her tuition. Well, before that, she had called my friend asking them to find me for money. After being refused, she went back to her birth parents asking for tuition. But not only did she get nothing, her birth parents complained about being poor. Hearing this, I laughed. Her annual tuition was less than 10,000 yuan. Adding living expenses, it was only 20 or 30,000 per year. How could her birth parents not afford this amount? When she returned to her birth parents, they even held a daughter acknowledgement ceremony and college celebration banquet with over 10 tables. The gift money alone exceeded this amount. It's just that their family had a son in high school, and they didn't want to spend money on Sophia. As for student loans, they needed my signature since her household registration was still under my name. So she came begging to my brother, hoping to borrow money first to pay tuition. Although my brother didn't like her before, out of respect for me, he always tried to maintain proper behavior toward her. Because of this, she didn't know that my brother's mouth, when he wanted to crush someone, was as sharp as a razor. My brother said, "Don't call me uncle. I have no relationship with the Chen family. I can't bear the title of uncle. It's useless for you to beg me. My money doesn't fall from the sky. Your birth parents can't even pay for tuition now. I'd rather hope they'd pay me back." Sophia was silent for a moment, then said, "Then I'll pay you back myself." My brother sneered, "Then I definitely can't lend to you. You betrayed the mother who raised you for 18 years. If I lend you money, won't you curse me as an idiot behind my back?" Sophia quickly defended herself. "I didn't betray my adoptive mother." My brother didn't let her finish, cutting her off. "My sister raised you with hardship for 18 years, yet you turned your back to acknowledge the people who abandoned you as your birth parents. In your eyes, is my sister's sacrifice so worthless? Who are you trying to anger?" He paused, then continued, "Don't say you didn't know you were abandoned. When my sister found you, she had people search for your birth parents for a long time, so our whole family knows about this. Although they talk too much, they clearly told you that you were abandoned. You're already in high school. Don't you understand what being abandoned means? No wonder my sister spent so much money on your extra classes, but you still didn't amount to anything. Your genetic inheritance is stupidly beyond belief." My brother concluded coldly, "Looking back now, your birth parents abandoning you back then wasn't wrong at all. An adopted daughter who could never be raised properly like you, who would want to keep you?" Sophia was speechless, unable to refute. Finally, she cried, saying she regretted it, saying she didn't expect me to hold such a grudge. If she had known I didn't want her to acknowledge her birth parents, she definitely wouldn't have. Then she knelt down, begging my brother to call and help her apologize to me, guaranteeing she would never acknowledge her birth parents again. She cried very sincerely and was anxious because tuition was due soon. My brother said he softened a bit at that moment. While applying a face mask, I sat up, angry enough to curse. "Do you have too much money with nowhere to spend it, or do you want to be scammed?" My brother said, "No, I treasure money like life. How could I knowingly give a bad loan? I just gave her one option. Told her to take her household registration and kinship certificate to transfer her registration to her birth parents, then they could help her get a student loan." Did he need to make my heart skip a beat before explaining? I breathed a sigh of relief. "From now on, don't call me anymore. Thank you." I heard that in the end, Sophia's birth parents reluctantly paid her first year's tuition under pressure. After all, they had just publicly acknowledged her. If they immediately turned their backs, people would definitely gossip. But for this money, they made her sign an IOU first. I thought from then on, she probably wouldn't dare contact me again. But just half a year later, she found me again. By then, I had changed my phone number, so she used a strange number to add my WeChat and left a message, "Mom, I was wrong. They treat me too badly. Mom, please forgive me this time. From now on, I'll never acknowledge them again. I promise to listen to everything you say from now on. Can you? Mom, I know you're the best person. Mom, please, for the sake of our mother-daughter relationship, can you lend me 2,000 yuan? I haven't eaten for a day. Seeing I didn't reply, she lowered her request. Mom, if not 2,000, then 500 is fine. I just need to get through this difficult period. In a few days when my part-time job pays me, I'll pay you back immediately. Mom, please reply to me. I'm really about to starve. She rambled on about being forced by her birth parents to sign an IOU, only getting 400 yuan monthly for living expenses, while her brother studying high school in the city didn't have to worry about anything and got over 1,000 yuan monthly. She said her part-time job delayed wages and deducted money unreasonably. Finally, she complained and blamed her birth parents. If they didn't want to raise me, why did they take me back? They just wanted me back as an ATM to support their brother and provide for their old age. Every time I ask for money, they make me thank them as if they love me so much. It sounded truly pitiful, but reading these messages, I remembered what she did in my previous life. In my previous life, when I found out Sophia had acknowledged her birth parents, I only rationally analyzed her birth parents' actions. Yet she got angry and accused me of meddling in other people's business, then left home. At that time, I also thought about cutting ties with her and not caring about her anymore. But before I could fully decide, the next day she came back to apologize and beg for my forgiveness. She cried, Mom, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said those hurtful things. Actually, the moment I walked out, I already regretted it. I even slapped myself twice. Mom, you raised me and gave me all your love, but I didn't consider your feelings. She paused dramatically. I promise I'll never hurt you again. Mom, my dearest mom, please don't be angry anymore. Forgive me this once, okay? If you want, you can hit me a few times to vent your anger. She even pretended to delete her birth parents' contact information in front of me, then hugged me gently and coaxed, Mom, you're not angry with me anymore, right? I was still angry, but seeing her sincere apology, I softened. I thought, after all, she was the child I had raised for 18 years. I couldn't deny everything because of one mistake. After that, she acted very well behaved in front of me, not revealing that she was still in contact with her birth parents. Moreover, she had already graduated and was working, so she rarely came home. But I didn't expect those apologies and good behavior were all fake. She just wanted to continue using me to provide money to support her birth parents. 3 months after I forgave her, she proposed buying a house. She said the house was about 140 square meters with 3 bedrooms and 2 living rooms. The house was already chosen, but she only had 50,000 yuan in savings. Although housing prices in Yun City weren't high, the down payment still needed 300,000 to 400,000 yuan, exactly all my savings. Her intention was clear, she wanted me to pay the down payment. But what made me suspicious was why she, living alone, wanted to buy such a big house. I asked tactfully, why are you buying such a big house? It'll be tiring to clean. She replied, for when I get married and have children later, and to have you move in with us. Perfect, she emphasized. You're my only family. You must live with me in the future. If she hadn't emphasized it, I might have believed her. But that emphasis made me more suspicious. I thought this house was very likely for her birth parents to live in too. Reality proved I guessed correctly. That night, she sneaked out. Suspicious, I followed her. Sure enough, I heard her on the phone complaining to her birth mother. That old woman Emma keeps saying she loves me and treats me as her own daughter, but she won't even pay the down payment for a house. She wants me to take out a mortgage. I couldn't hear what was said on the other end. She continued, Don't worry, Mom, I'll definitely buy you a house. You suffered so many years looking for me. Now that I'm grown, I won't let you suffer anymore. I'll figure out this money myself. I was stunned. She didn't want her birth parents to suffer, but wanted me to bear it instead. At this point, I completely lost hope in her. But it was all too late. After I refused to pay, money made her want to kill me. A few days later, I went out. If she hadn't leaned down before I died to tell me the truth, I would have thought it was just an accident. That my car brakes suddenly failed. Now, looking at Sophia's complaints about Linda and Robert, I just found it laughable. In my previous life, she thought Linda and Robert loved her simply because they didn't have to pay any major expenses for her then. Just some sweet words and small favors were enough to exchange for her devoted service. In this life, when they actually had to spend real money, of course they wouldn't be happy. Instead, they revealed their true faces for her to see earlier. I replied to her with one sentence. Isn't this exactly what you always wanted? The love from your birth parents that you should have had from the beginning. You've achieved what you wanted. Be content. Then I immediately blocked her new WeChat number. A crocodile's tears aren't trustworthy. Even if she really starved to death, that was her problem, nothing to do with me. Moreover, her household registration had already been transferred to her birth parents. We had no connection anymore. I didn't want to care about her life or death. But my brother still cared. The next time I heard about Sophia was the following year. My rebellious brother, despite my telling him not to call me anymore, still called to report. He said Sophia had taken out online loans but couldn't repay them. Somehow she still had my brother's phone number in her contacts. When the loan company spread the information, my brother was also harassed. Well, surprising but not hard to understand. During the years living with me, Sophia never experienced hardship from lack of money. I raised her with the belief that once I decided to adopt, I had to be responsible to the end, never letting her lack food or clothing. Living expenses and pocket money were always sufficient. In high school, I gave her 1,000 yuan monthly for pocket money, not including separate money if she wanted to shop. Compared to now when her birth parents only gave her 400 yuan monthly to live on, it was truly two different worlds. With such living standards, not borrowing money would be strange. When debts piled up, her birth parents immediately cut ties, demanding she transfer her household registration out to avoid affecting her brother's future. They even felt she had disgraced the family. A relative of mine who knew Linda's family said Sophia was severely scolded by her birth parents. Linda pointed at her face and scolded, "You're truly useless. No wonder your adoptive mother didn't want you either. All day you only know how to spend money. No matter how much, it's never enough, and you even dare to borrow. If you want money so badly, why don't you go sell yourself?" Sophia argued back that they were the ones who took her back. Taking her back meant they had the responsibility to raise her. They didn't even give her enough money to eat each month. She had no choice but to borrow. Robert heard this and kicked her several times, shouting, "If I had known, I wouldn't have taken you back. I thought you'd help me gain face, take care of me in old age, and help your brother. Who knew we'd bring back a debt collector?" After beating and scolding, they drove her out of the house, forbidding her to return. After Sophia left, no one heard from her again. She dropped out of school and disappeared. Her debt, including interest, was less than 20,000 yuan. With her birth parents' help, she could have completely paid it off. After graduation and working, that amount would be nothing. But Linda and Robert never intended to help her. Hearing this news, some of Linda's relatives thought I was cruel raising her for 18 years and abandoning her just like that. I just laughed coldly. I maintained my old viewpoint. It had nothing to do with me. My brother said, "Of course it has nothing to do with you. I'm telling you this to make you more hardened. Don't soften and care about this white-eyed wolf again. People like her deserve to live and die on their own, to learn how harsh the world is." I thought for a moment and replied, "Don't worry. She definitely won't come looking for me again. Our relationship is completely over." My brother emphasized, "Don't be too sure. She's at the end of her rope now. Who knows, she might come to you to pay her debts." I suspected my brother had a crow's mouth. Just 2 months later, Sophia found me again. This time she changed WeChat accounts to add me as a friend and left a remorseful message. "Mom, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't look for you again, but I miss you." The moment I saw the message, I immediately blocked her new WeChat. She truly was my nemesis. Just reading a few words from her made me lose sleep for a whole week. After that, Sophia seemed to understand that I would never accept her again. She didn't contact me anymore. I thought that was the end of it. But half a year later, news about Sophia appeared again. This time in the newspaper. The news was that Sophia had accidentally killed her birth mother, Linda. The cause still revolved around the online loan debt. After dropping out, she couldn't find stable work. Her salary wasn't enough to pay the debt, increasingly pressured and cornered. She returned with a knife to find Linda and Robert, demanding they pay her debt. She believed they had ruined her previous life. According to her, Linda and Robert hadn't taken me back. I wouldn't have been abandoned by my adoptive mother. If I hadn't been abandoned, I wouldn't have ended up with poor grades and mounting debts like now. Therefore, she believed Linda and Robert had the responsibility to help her pay this debt. When she threatened them with the knife, Linda and Robert not only weren't afraid but planned to beat her again. They even taunted, "A useless person like you wants revenge. If you're so capable, try stabbing us." Then they rushed to wrestle with her. As a result, Linda was accidentally stabbed in the artery. Emergency treatment couldn't save her. She died on the spot. That same day, Sophia was arrested by the police. Reading the news in the paper, I could only sigh for a few minutes. Then my brother called again, his voice trembling slightly. "Sister, good thing you were clear, headed back then, moving overnight and cutting all contact with Sophia. Otherwise, I would have been the one who died. In my previous life I had experienced this." After expressing his concern, my brother added, "Now her birth parents' relatives all praise you for being wise. Only the person who raised the child truly understands what kind of person they raised." I just wanted to say it wasn't that I was wise, but that it was the price of a bloody lesson I had paid. In my previous life, I also wore rose-colored glasses when looking at Sophia, thinking the daughter I raised wouldn't hurt me. But reality proved it was all just my beautiful illusion. In the end, Sophia was sentenced to death. Before her execution, she wanted to see me one last time. I went. She no longer maintained her youthful, beautiful appearance. The moment she saw me, she emotionally burst into tears, calling out, "Mom." I didn't respond. She cried bitterly, talking at length. In summary, she felt guilty for failing my 18 years of nurturing. She said, "If there's a next life, I hope I can still be your daughter to repay this debt." I immediately said, "If there really is a next life, I hope we never meet again. Not just the next life, but all future lives." She asked, "Will you really never forgive me?" I nodded. "Yes." She choked up. "Why?" I thought for a moment and answered, "No one turns back just to love someone one more time. I hope both you and I remember this."